Happy Friday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now as we get closer to the November election. We're looking at some of the referendum questions. What is question 4? No, really, what is question 4? It's confusing. We will take a look at that. Also, some of the JFK files were released. We told you about it yesterday. We'll tell you more about that today. And would you like a hobbit hole at your house? We'll have that story. This is News Center Now.
One way or another, I'm going to continue to do the same work regardless of whether or not there's a merger.
It's a tale of two cities and whether or not they'll become one. How a possible Lewiston-Auburn merger could affect the classroom.
And what does amortized mean? You might want to know that before you head to the polls, because whether you know it or not, you'll be voting on a constitutional amendment. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Christina Rex, in for Amanda today. Talks of a possible merger in Lewiston-Auburn are heightening, just 11 days away from Election Day, believe it or not. But what would this mean for students and their schools? I spoke with two people on each side of the river to find out.
Who's at the table? Tom Kendall, Bonnie Hayes, Megan Parks, and Tina Hutchinson. 2 from Lewiston and 2 from Auburn. Days away from finding out whether or not their cities will merge.
The question's being asked everywhere by everyone. It seems to be the biggest hot button topic right now.
What would happen immediately in the school systems if this merger were to pass? The answer might surprise you.
Nothing. Nothing.
These committee members say nothing drastic would change in the first 2 years if the merger passes. They haven't discussed budget, consolidation, possible rezoning, or much else. But they're in agreement that they don't want much to change.
Edward Little Red Eddies would remain the Edward Little Red Eddies. The Lewiston Blue Devils would remain the Lewiston Blue Devils.
Both Hayes and Hutchinson are on the Merger Education Committee, which tries to determine a plan should the merger pass. But they say keeping the schools separate is the only thing they've agreed upon. Parks compares it to Portland and Deering.
They're in the same community and they have 2 separate schools. I don't think it would be, if the merger were to go through, I don't think it would be a big deal.
The committee members say they already work together regularly and that won't be an issue.
We do work together, absolutely. We do share a lot of services, so there is a shared commitment to students both in both cities that we shoulder those burdens jointly.
But as far as any other plans, let's just say they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. For now, they say they're focused on making both school systems better.
If you do not have an excellent school system, you're not going to attract the young families, you're not going to attract the businesses, you're not going to be able to provide employment opportunities, your real estate values aren't going to continue to increase, you're not going to expand, you're not going to grow. And
the elementary and middle schools go, the committee members did say they've considered just keeping them all open, but expanding choice, meaning parents could be able to choose where their kids go to school.
All right, so this is going to make your head hurt, so I'm just warning you right now. Okay. And oh, by the way, it happens to be question 4 on the statewide ballot. Here we go. Do you favor amending the Constitution of Maine to reduce volatility in state pension funding requirements caused by the financial markets by increasing the length of time over which experienced losses are amortized from 10 years to 20 years in line with pension industry standards?
I got it.
That was easy.
I'm just kidding. What the heck does that even mean? We sent Chris Costa to find out.
Question 4 deals with the pensions of state employees. Now, in this case, the pension program is a retirement plan that's in place of Social Security. It's not something extra that state employees or teachers get. It provides benefits for about 40,000 active employees and about 34,000 retirees. Voting yes on 4 means a change in the Constitution. It would essentially make it easier for the state government to predict how much it pays into the pension fund. Here's how it works. The pension plan is funded by 3 sources: employees, the government, and investments. The amount that employees pay remains the same, but the other 2 can change depending on markets. When markets are bad, it's possible for those investments to lose money. When that happens, the state has to make up for that lost money, sometimes by taking it away from another program in the budget.
So if our costs go up and down in a very fluctuating way, that makes it harder for them to predict where else they can put their money.
Right now, under the Constitution, the state has 10 years to pay off those losses. If voters pass the amendment, the state will have 20 years to pay it off. meaning the amount it pays each year is smaller, but the state could pay more in the long run. I hope that kind of helped a little bit.
Maybe clear things up just a little bit. So, Chris, just a question. Changing this rule will not affect how much money pensioners get, is that correct?
Right. According to Sandra Matheson, who's the executive director of the program, no, you're not supposed to see any changes to your pension.
All right, anybody not in favor of this change?
There are no major groups as of right now that have organized against it. There may be one or two representatives in the House, but other than that, no.
And the difference, I guess, is that this is a constitutional amendment, not a citizens' initiative. Does that mean this is binding if it goes through?
So when I talked to Sandra earlier today, she says that it changes the state constitution. That means the legislature cannot overturn it because it's a people's decision to amend the Constitution without a new citizens' vote. If they wanted to change it, they'd have to bring it back to a vote.
All right, can you just do the whole thing again?
All right, here we go. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. If you want to vote absentee, you've got to keep in mind you've got less than a week to apply for a ballot. And remember, you don't need to prove that you'll be out of town or unable to vote on Election Day. All you have to do is apply for an absentee ballot before next Thursday, November 2nd. There are special exceptions if you miss the deadline. Find official rules on the Maine.gov website.
Okay, we needed the rain from the last 2 days, but I can't say I'm complaining about what it looks like outside right now.
I saw Keith in his bathing suit at the beach today because the sun was out.
Yeah, but it was my long bathing suit because it was a little chilly. We got to 60 degrees today. Yeah, you know, it was nice to see the sun. Basically, we hadn't seen it since Monday afternoon statewide, and it was sunny through the day today. Temperatures actually above average for this time of the year. Few clouds flitting around, but I think tonight will be clear and tomorrow mostly sunny as well. Winds have settled. They were really gusty the past couple of days. Now they're 5 to 10 miles an hour. So the combination of the sky cover, the light winds, temperatures will drop pretty quickly tonight into the 30s and even 20s. Tomorrow it's mostly sunny, beautiful day there. Sunday, not as nice though. Clouds move in, a couple of showers by Sunday afternoon. Then the wheels really fall off the wagon Sunday night and into Monday. First things first, here's tonight's overnight lows. Much cooler than it's been lately. Interestingly, the temperatures have been mild on the mean side, so our daytime highs weren't that high, but our overnight lows were very high. So we actually kept building on the all-time warmest October. That looks like a lock for us. But guys, we have to talk about Monday in just a few minutes because Monday morning we could have wind speeds over 60 miles an hour in a lot of spots of the state. So that's worth talking about.
There are now 4 women accusing former President George H.W. Bush of groping them and telling inappropriate jokes. The most recent woman to come forward is Amanda Staples, a former Republican candidate for the Maine Senate. In an Instagram post, Staples says she posed with 41 for a photo op 11 years ago in Kennebunkport. She tells roughly the same story as Bangor native and author Christina Baker Klein, as well as actresses Heather Lind and Jordana Gralnick. The women say as H.W. was putting his arm around them for a photo, he grabbed their backsides and made a joke about copping a feel. On Wednesday, a statement by a Bush family spokesperson said 41 apologizes to anyone he has offended by his effort to put people at ease in a good-natured manner.
At the 11th hour last night, national security officials asked President Trump to withhold some of the documents that were related to the JFK assassination. So it's not the file dump that Americans were expecting, but the documents that were released do reveal some pretty interesting secrets.
Yeah, NBC's Chris Pallone shows us what they uncovered and explains why the release was partially blocked.
Historians and journalists say no bombshell revelations in this latest dump of documents about the JFK assassination, but there are some new insights, like then FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover fearing the American public might not believe Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone shooter. In a memo just 2 days after the killing, Hoover said he wanted something issued so we can convince the public that Oswald is the real assassin. Hoover also called it inexcusable that the Dallas Police Department did little to prevent Jack Ruby from shooting Oswald after the FBI warned that Oswald was a target. Other revelations, the Soviet Union thought the assassination was a coup attempt by America's far right and worried it would ultimately be blamed. President Trump ordered the documents released Thursday night just hours before a Congress-imposed deadline set 25 years ago. But some are upset Trump bowed to pressure from intelligence agencies keeping about 300 files secret.
This is a huge disappointment and a total mess. I mean, you can't imagine a more disorderly release of these documents about a turning point in American history.
Trump wrote, "I have no choice but to accept those redactions rather than allow potentially irreversible harm to our nation's security." A sentiment sure to give fuel to Americans who believe the government is hiding something about the assassination. The new deadline to release the remaining files is in 6 months. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
National security officials say they're concerned about revealing their sources in Mexico and Cuba because some informants may still be alive.
I'll take a quick time out, but if there's a Lord of the Rings fan in your life, we just might have the perfect holiday gift idea for you. There's a company in Maine that builds official Hobbit holes. Tennyson Coleman shows us the craftsmanship behind these tiny buildings.
And in the conclusion to the Selling Girls series, we show you how to save children from a life of sex slavery. That's coming up next. We learned how sex traffickers target children. We found out how buyers avoid getting caught, and we met the victims who escaped sex slavery. This week, we brought you the reality of domestic minor sex trafficking in our country. It's happening in plain sight, and it's hurting American kids.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable truth, but don't look away because you can help change that story from selling girls to saving girls.
Teenagers bought and sold for sex. It's overwhelming and scary, but there is hope. We spoke with advocacy groups and came up with 3 ways anyone can help. First, learn the signs. Pay attention the next time you're traveling. What do you see? Does something or someone stick out? What's off about that man traveling with that girl? The girl could be wearing something a little too mature, maybe a designer purse or heavy makeup. Sometimes makeup covers bruises or scrapes. Often the girl appears worn out, distant, or scared. You try to catch her eye, but she looks away, avoiding eye contact. These are all signs someone else is in control and could be exploiting her. You may think, it's not my business, they're probably okay, or it's not my place. But the truth is, you may be their only hope. If you see something that makes you uncomfortable, say something to law enforcement. Then bring the conversation home. Talk about it with your teenage sons and daughters. Teach them the tricks traffickers use, especially online. Messages on Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram could be how they connect. By making an empty promise or even a threat. What they're really doing is luring children into their control. Now, you have the knowledge, and it's time to get involved. Connect with a local advocacy group and ask how you can help. They often need donations, volunteers, and support. You've already started helping just by watching this video. Now talk about what you've learned and share it with others to help change the topic of conversation from selling girls to saving them.
Now, the name of the series is Selling Girls, but we need to keep in mind that males can be targeted by sex traffickers as well.
Statistics, show that the sex trade is overwhelmingly female, but don't let that statistic allow you to turn a blind eye to young boys who could become victims.
To learn more about how you can stop sex trafficking here in our state, visit our websites or our mobile apps.
Still to come on Now.
We ship our ready-to-assemble kits on pallets, and they go all over the country.
You can go on an adventure to Middle Earth right in your own backyard. Meet the Mainers who are building official Hobbit holes for Lord of the Rings fans.
And after a dreary few days, the weather is looking up for Hallow weekend. The always scary Keith Carson coming up.
Where are you off to? I'm going on an adventure.
This is a story for all the J.R. Tolkien fans out there. If you've ever wanted to escape to a world of hobbits and elves, here's your chance.
It's like my living room. A family in Maine is letting you bring the Hobbit series to life at your very own home. News Center Now's Tennyson Coleman has our story.
In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. And thanks to a company called Wood and Wonders based out of Thorndike, you can live just like one. In fact, they're the only company in the world where you can buy an official hobbit hole. Melissa and Rocky Pillsbury are a husband and wife team in the game of woodworking. They're coming up on their 10-year anniversary, and this small warehouse in Thorndike is where they've spent much of that time together.
It's definitely brought us together.
Through their company Wooden Wonders, they build wooden structures. The Hobbit Hole, which can be built above or below ground, is one of their most popular items. Some weeks they ship up to 10 at a time.
We ship our ready-to-assemble kits on pallets, and they go all over the country. Just in the last 2 weeks, we've shipped to Washington State, California, Texas, and Colorado.
They build these Hobbit Holes for kids, but if you're a kid at heart like myself, well, the owners have you covered.
And we do have one larger kit that is scaled up to adult proportions.
With all this talk about Hobbit Holes, you'd expect the Pillsburys to be obsessed with the Hobbit series, but
we're fans, but not fanatics, I guess, not with a capital F.
It's really Rocky's love for carpentry that got them into the business.
In Maine, wood, our building materials are very abundant.
Recently, the Pillsburys have expanded to building chicken coops they sell to Maine farmers. And as Tolkien may put it, ensuring their work goes ever on and on. In Thorndike, Tennyson Coleman, News Center.
And if you're looking to get your hands on a Hobbit Hole, you better save up your loose coins or be a meteorologist, because the cheapest one, according to the website, $1,700.
It would probably be too small for Keith anyway.
Well, hold
right?
on. How much is a shed? Right? A shed is like $600.
Can you get the Hobbit Hole in a medium?
Yeah.
Well,
it's very
how many medium shirts can you fit in the Hobbit Hole is the real
I
question.
think you could rent that out to hipsters.
make that a
you could
pulse
Airbnb that hard. Be like authentic, you just put a little coffee in
It's
there.
an investment.
Authentic Hobbit Hole.
Authentic, artisanal built, I don't know. Use the right words and you can get it done. All right, beautiful day today. Really nice to see the sun. It was really Monday afternoon, the last that we saw of it. Temperatures, though, going to drop quite a bit tonight because of it. Remember, when you have those clear skies, light winds, those are things you look for in overnight lows to be a bit chilly. In the 20s in the mountains. By the way, Sugarloaf took a few pictures of snow on the top of the summit there. It wasn't much, but there was a little bit. Mount Washington got quite a bit of snow, so it's colder in the upper levels. Tonight's chilly but clear. Tomorrow is a beautiful day, sunny from start to finish. Temperatures between 60 and 63 for most of us. And then clouds move in on Saturday night and into Sunday. Showers start popping up on Sunday. I don't think it's a bad day, but there'll be certainly some showers around, particularly over western Maine. And then things really fall apart Sunday night and into Monday. We talked about this setup yesterday and really for about 2 days now. We've got this low-level jet stream that's going to be positioned right over Maine, and at the same time as that, this low is going to develop and take an inside track. So now you might hear this called a nor'easter, but it's not. A nor'easter has to have northeast winds, right? This will be on an inside track. It'll actually be a southeast batch, but a lot of these winds will get down to the surface from that low-level jet. So the net result is not only quite a bit of rain, but more importantly, some big winds coming in late Sunday night and into early Monday. Down East Maine will be more like the middle part of Monday. So let's just take a look at some of these wind gusts. And this is certainly not going to be exact. This is just one computer model's depiction of it. Notice it starts to get breezy, though, on Sunday evening, early in the night. Sunday night into Monday morning, we start getting some stronger wind gusts. It is worth noting that even though they're in the 60s here, some of our more resolute models do have wind gusts that they're at least projecting to be around 70 or 70 plus miles an hour. So whether or not that happens is going to be really important as far as damage goes here on Monday morning. And then that wave kind of rides up the coastline through the day on Monday. It's really quick moving though, so it should be out of here by Monday afternoon and things settle down after that. So in addition to the winds, which I think are by far the biggest concern, we are going to get more heavy rainfall. So we could see another 1.5 inches, Portland, Fryeburg, Sanford, lesser amounts over down east. But guys, you know, there's a huge difference there between 55 miles an hour and 70, which sounds self-explanatory, but really there's a big exponential increase in damage and power outages, especially considering a lot of us still have the leaves on the trees. So this is something we need to keep an eye on there. And I think it's going to happen at a weird time, late Sunday night for most of us.
Now, rain, snow, stuff like that is pretty relatively easily forecastable. What about wind? Is that a different formula?
We're going to be in the
forecast
ballpark.
wind?
You know, I mean, we're not going to wake up and say, oh, it was only 30 miles an hour. Like, we're going to have very gusty winds. The difference between, you know, a layer that says 60, one that says 70, you know, now it just comes down to what's actually going to happen on that day. So
some of us could be lucky enough to start our Monday morning without power, is
right,
what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility, so we'll keep an eye on it.
All right, everybody shower on Sunday,
Yeah.
just to be safe. All right.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you. More than 1,400 kids from 70 different Maine schools gathered on the campus of Hyde School in Bath today. The reason? It was the 6th annual Maine Youth Leadership Day. Staff Sergeant Travis Mills and former DHHS Commissioner Mary Mayhew gave keynote speeches to the kids, who then broke off into groups where there were 35 different presenters, including yours truly. The theme of this year's Leadership Day was developing leaders who view obstacles as opportunities. The focus of the day was on the importance and challenges of moral character and the practice of leadership. A very, very fun day with some really inquisitive kids.
And you got to be a part of it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that was weird. But I mean, that they asked me, I was very excited. But yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
Love talking to the kids.
So Brain Drops is coming up next, and after that, it's News Center at 5:30.
Let's get some information from Cindy Williams. Has a look at our stories in the next half hour. Hey, Cindy.
Hi there. One of the stories we'll have for you, the founder of Waterfront Concerts in Bangor had been accused of attacking his girlfriend. Well, today in court, he pleaded guilty to those charges. The victim also took the stand and explained how Alex Gray abused her while they were together. We're going to hear what she had to say coming up next. Also ahead, 82 years old and hiking the Appalachian Trail. We will meet this inspiring man and find out just what lengths he had to go to be able to finish this hike and land in the history books. That's all ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy. Looking forward to it. Now we'll be right back.
All right, today's Brain Drops, some positive news. Bill Gates, who you may or may not know, is involved in a lot of charity causes, recently announced they think that this is the last year for polio. So I don't know if you're aware, there still are cases of polio. Afghanistan is one country. There's another one that's just slipping my mind right now. Pakistan, thank you. There's 2 countries that still have some, and they're thinking 2018 this will be the last one. This is an interesting case. This is the United States. Polio, I mean, this used to be a big deal, right? You had precedent with it, and there's a spike in the early 1950s. There's your polio vaccine, and then after that, we've basically been around 0. Not at 0, though. We occasionally have gotten 1 here and there, but it looks like polio will be officially eradicated in 2018, which obviously this is a hot button topic altogether right now, but this is a reminder of what well-administered vaccines can do for a disease that was literally crippling for so many people for so long, and it's about to be wiped off the planet.
So is it just that the vaccine came in and now it's kind of worked our way out of everyone's systems?
It's the vaccine completely, yeah. And it just took a while to get it to some other countries. Bill Gates put a lot of money into getting it to those countries that didn't have it yet, and that's why we have a chance to just knock it out.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, News Center at 5:30 begins right now.